Hey everyone, welcome to another live stream. Your driver Mike here. Thanks for joining. As you can see from the title, something that we had to go live for and to talk to you guys about here. A lot going on quite recently here from Uber. So let's welcome you to another live stream, guys. We had to go live. We had to do a live stream for this because this is too big to ignore. And of course, hey, if you are here on Saturdays, we do a live stream Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific. That time it may change based on what kind of audience we bring in every Saturday. So make sure to subscribe here on the channel and follow over on Twitter as well to get any updates as far as live streaming times. Guys, we need to go through this article right now. Alan is saying no video. Can you guys hear me okay? It looks like it's okay on my end as far as the sound in the video. Let me know if the video is okay. Hey, Dark Road! Dark Road dropping a $2 super chat. Come on, Dark Road. Dark Road is dropping the $2 super chat. A dark day for Uber. It is, guys. Well, a dark day because this leaked now, but as we're going to find out, this didn't happen exactly right now. So if you're starting to sweat by the title of this live stream of our itinerary below and of the thumbnail, well, you may have really been needing to feel that way a year ago. As we're going to find out, we're going to talk about what that means. Okay, Derek, hey, thanks for joining. I hear you're fine. All right. Alan, it's up now and good. Yes, awesome, guys. Dark Road, I've been waiting to make that pun for a while. A dark day for Uber. Yes, guys, yes. Hey, Francisco, thanks for joining. As always, you're first in here again. Francisco says, Uber's 180 days of nothing, Mike, except scandals. There you go, guys. There's our lead line in for today. 180 days of change, guys. We just did a video on basically a part one because there's more details that was announced today. So we can talk about that if you would like. But really, this is dedicated to a massive data hack it's affecting both the drivers and passengers. 57 million of them. And we're going to find out what this means. And you can find out if your account was affected. And I don't even know if mine was affected yet, but I know some other drivers that have already shown that their account was affected. Interesting to see here. Hey, Greg, thanks for joining. Big issues. Had a Lyft ride today. He said there were no Ubers around. I was on both. Hey, Alan, my account was hacked and lost $1,500. Guys, I'm going to run through it today. I'm going to run through what this means because, thanks to you guys, thanks to, our audience here, to you, I was tipped off of this hack, right? And again, this didn't just happen. And that's the thing. This happened somewhat recently, but it did happen in the past, and there's a lot of things to talk about. A lot of implications about what happened here. So thanks for joining, guys. Greg, I heard this was in the fall of 2016. Guys, it was in the fall of 2016, and it doesn't seem that long ago, but again, think about it. If your data has been out there, since 2016 or vulnerable, right? What are the implications of that? Were you affected? And something even more interesting that Uber did about this hack. Let's jump right in. Let's jump in, guys. Let's share this screen with you as you're looking at our OBS right now. Let's jump over, and you can see we have so many articles up right now, guys. We're going to go through these. We're going to get your takeaways. We're going to jump over to the live chat. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat. We're going to be following back up shortly with your live chat. If you're watching this in the rebroadcast, put your comments in the comments section below because this is massive. From CNN Tech. And you can see here, guys, this was announced 6:27 p.m. Eastern. Okay, this just was announced. Uber was hacked in 2016 and the data on 57 million people was exposed. Hackers accessed millions of Uber users' personal information last year, and the company did not report it until Tuesday. In late 2016, two people outside the company accessed the personal information of 57 million Uber users, including names, email addresses, and phone numbers, the company said. Hackers also accessed drivers' license numbers of around 600,000 drivers in the United States. The 600,000 was included in the total number of affected users. The company did not alert victims or regulators of the breach when they discovered it happened. Current Uber CEO Dara Khosrowshahi said in a statement he recently learned of the breach. Khosrowshahi, who became CEO in August, said he launched an investigation into why the company did not alert authorities or individuals affected by the hack. He said, two of the individuals who led the response to this incident are no longer with the company. Khosrowshahi said the company is now notifying regulatory authorities. Bloomberg reports that Joe Sullivan, Uber's chief security officer, is no longer with the company. Uber would not confirm to CNN Money which individuals had left the company. At the time of this incident, we took immediate steps to secure the data and shut down further unauthorized access by the individuals, Khosrowshahi said in a statement. We subsequently identified the individuals and obtained assurances that the downloaded data had been destroyed. We also implemented security measures to restrict access and strengthen controls on our cloud-based storage accounts, he said. Uber did not say how hackers assured the company the stolen data was destroyed. Bloomberg reported that Uber paid them $100,000. Uber would not confirm it paid this ransom. According to the company, no location history, credit card numbers, social security numbers, or data or dates of birth were downloaded in the hack. Uber said it is providing free credit monitoring to drivers who had their license numbers exposed. It's the latest blow to Uber, etc., etc. You can see here. Later, this company was fined almost $9 million for background checks, etc. It goes into some other detail. Guys, 57 million people had some identifying information leaked in 2016, and Uber did not report it. Let's catch up with you guys. I can't believe it. Well, I kind of can believe it, but the line that I want you to take out of that is, and we're going to look into this in some other articles, because each article, and that's why I want to do this live so you can review this as well, so we can compare these articles. Different articles bring out different key facts, and one of those was that $100,000 payment that Uber paid somebody to delete this data. I don't know, if somebody hacked the data and then they already have the data on their files, they already created files and copies of that data. I'm not sure how they necessarily deleted it. It may seem like it's deleted, but of course they can store this data anywhere. You can store it on an external hard drive, and you can never delete that external hard drive unless you have the actual physical device. I don't know, let's hear your thoughts. Guys, you're flying through the comments. Okay. Francisco says, talking about the 180 days of change, raise the rates. That's worth 365 days of change. Guys, that 180 days of change, if you didn't watch that current video, watch the video. And we say in the start of the video, there was no rate increases, which adds to the drama of today because they announced the new 180 days of change, but this came to light. Not a good time right now. Hey, Midnight Rider John from Indiana, PA. Hi, Mike. I'm out driving. Had to pull over to watch this. I appreciate that. I think we may get out there later tonight, possibly, guys. Checking the time right now. Alan, they should give us the same rates as regular taxi drivers, but still use the effectiveness on less wait times than a taxi. Going back to the pay issue, guys. We're going to be doing another video on the 180 days of change. There's just more detail on ratings protection, right? We've seen ratings protection. There's no rate increases, and that's really what needed to come down. And you know, in our last live stream, we said if there were not rate increases in this final chapter of 180 days of change, is that a failure? And we said, kinda, yeah. Yeah, there needs to be rate increases. Referring to this article, Rideshare 2K17OH says, I bet the new CEO is ready to resign. Every step forward gets pushed 2 steps back. Guys, one of the first chapters, I guess, of the 180 days of change was tips. Tips were fantastic. I get tips on the Uber app. I give drivers tips all the time on the Uber app. It makes it so much easier. And that was a step in the right direction. We saw some updates that updated the kind of logistics, operations of the app. But again, you know, for Mr. Khosrowshahi, the new CEO of Uber, we have this coming down the line. And then we have a 180 days of change program that did not give drivers rate increases unless we're seeing something that's coming at the end of the year here. We know that there's sometimes a winter weather warm-up as far as fares. Maybe this year they'll go up instead of go down. Rideshare 2K, somebody high up had to sign off on that $100,000 payment. It wasn't just 2 people that knew. Had to be a top 3 person in the company to sign off on that payment. Great point. Multiple articles state that Uber paid $100,000 to delete this data. And again, like Rideshare 2K says, someone's got to approve that payment, right? And that is going to be someone at the higher ranks of Uber. If now this wasn't Mr. Khosrowshahi, right? He just started in August, but someone high up in Uber had to approve that payment for $100,000. Let's see, Derek. Referring to Dark Road. Dark Road says, interesting that this hack came at the same time Uber started requiring random selfies from drivers to log in. Now, a point about that, guys, is at least in the market that I came from in Pittsburgh, we have had that for a few months now. I would say a good amount, maybe even 6 months or so, kind of that selfie ID. If you go to click online within the Uber app, you'll get a front-facing camera prompt. You'll be asked to confirm your identification, your face, your image, right, before you can go online. That has been active for a couple months now, but I can imagine maybe it's happening much more frequently or in most or all markets since this data hack. I don't know. Derek confirms, I've had that for months. It is random, like they've mentioned. That ID is random. Greg says, I found Lyft tips are higher, about 65% of rides versus only 40% for Uber. The good thing we can say about tipping, and again, the 180 days of change edition of tipping, is that at least we have 40% frequency on Uber versus, I was at 5%, guys. I was about 5% of rides or less. I may even be generous, right, of passengers that actually tipped in cash. At least it's at 40% now. It's continual re-education, and there is an update now that's encouraging passengers to always rate their drivers before they can request any ride now. They're going to be prompted to rate their last ride on every single ride they take. And remember, they can't tip you unless they rate you. So at least Uber is trying to push riders to rate, which would, in theory, hopefully lead to more tips. Rideshare 2K, now they're going to have the old CEO and new CEO on Capitol Hill grilling them. We could see this escalate. Yeah, absolutely. Once we get into the legal realm of, the legality of it. Okay, and if this is going to go to some kind of court system, I have no idea. If this is going to be probed into more as far as liability, Absolutely, and that's in addition to all the lawsuits that are already active with Uber. It's almost unbelievable. It's extremely messy right now for Uber. Meanwhile, Lyft is sitting somewhat pretty. We'll knock on wood for them in comparison. Alan, thanks for commenting. I wonder if Mr. Kalanick resigned. This is very interesting. I wonder if Mr. Kalanick resigned because he knew this was coming and didn't want to take responsibility for it, knowing very well he would be held accountable. Well, I'll tell you what, the records are going to show through some kind of e-paper trail via email, if they didn't already hide it, which they may have, correspondence if they need to dig further into this. But if there's a paper trail, they're going to find it, and they will pull Kalanick back into this. Doesn't matter if he's CEO or not. They will pull him back into this. And again, if it needs to escalate in some kind of court system, you better believe it will. Dark Road, I think the hack payoff happened October of 2000. Okay, the payoff, October 2016. Francisco confirming he had the selfie confirmation since the end of last year. Yeah, this makes sense now indeed as far as having the selfie ID even more. Dark Road, I wonder if this would ever come out if Travis Kalanick was still in charge. What do you think, guys? If Travis Kalanick was still the CEO at Uber, would this ever come to light? And even with Mr. Khosrowshahi, he said he just found out, I think this week, last week, apparently. Let's jump back in. Let's look at another article, guys. Please do keep commenting. I want to hear your thoughts here. Money Watch, CBS News. Let's see if we can find any more clues. I don't know. Let's see what we can find in this here. Again, you can see it here, guys. 600,000 drivers in the United States. And also important to note here, guys, if you're driving in international markets, if you're outside the US, the vast majority of these, from what we're reading here, were drivers outside the US. The breach also exposed the driver's licenses and other information for roughly 7 million drivers for the company, including 600,000 for the US. The vast millions of drivers, if you're driving in an international market, we're going to show you how to check and see if your account is safe. Again, important to note here, guys, no social security numbers, credit card numbers, bank account numbers, or birth dates or trip location data was taken, but they did take your name, home address, mobile phone numbers, and email. Now, maybe that's not the end of the world, right? Because a lot of this, your name is given. Your email, if you use a general email, I'm sure your email can be found. Marketers may be able to buy your email for marketing campaigns. I don't know. Once we start talking about phone numbers and home addresses, that obviously can get much more trackable, much more personal. But it says they don't take social securities, credit cards, etc. If there's any positive, I suppose. In a statement, Khosrowshahi acknowledged that Uber had failed to inform Uber users that their data had been stolen in a timely manner. The executive said he recently learned that Uber in late 2016 discovered the hack, etc. And let's focus on this part again here. But a source familiar with the incident and with Uber's initial investigation told CBS News' Andreas Cheret that the company paid the hackers who stole the data $100,000 to delete it. It is not known whether that occurred. Uber also did not report the breach to law enforcement. And there may be some legal liabilities there that they need to as well. I'm sure there may be some legal requirements. We can see here another report from Bloomberg Technology saying here company paid hackers $100,000 to delete info. Keep quiet. And you can see here, here's Mr. Khosrowshahi. Again, none of this should have happened. I will not make excuses for it. And also adding, we are changing the way we do business. Here's a point that Bloomberg makes. The Uber breach, while large, is dwarfed by those at Yahoo, MySpace, Target, Anthem, and Equifax. What's more alarming are the extreme measures Uber took to hide the attack. The breach is the latest scandal Khosrowshahi inherits from his predecessor, Travis Kalanick. A little bit rougher of an article here from Bloomberg, critiquing Uber for, rightfully so, for hiding 57 million people's data by paying hackers $100,000 allegedly to cover this breach, etc., etc. Looks like they go into some more scandals, etc. All right, guys, let's jump back here with you and see what you guys are saying here. Rideshare 2K adds, what are your thoughts on the pre-scheduled ride guarantee rates for Saturday nights, and will it kill surge? Guys, any kind of, I always feel like any kind of pre-scheduled, guaranteed, boost zones, earnings guarantees, bonuses, anything like that is gonna kill native surge. And we've talked before about, what would you rather have? And we saw a recent video where Uber is testing newer surge zones that have those kind of preset fare amounts that are going to be added onto your fare. And that is basically the surge zone. You're in a +9 or a +12, +15, and that's what you get, regardless of distance. And we made an example of how that's good on short runs, because you can loop right back to those zones, get another +9, +15. Or what happens if you get a long run and you're on a +9 when natural surge would have given you +28, +32 on that fare? I don't love that, right? So any kind of guarantees, overall, yeah, I feel like will kill native surge because it may bring more drivers into the area. That's always been the case. So that's what we saw when Boost was initially launched. More drivers coming in the area. Instead of being a 3.5, 4.2, surge is now hitting a 2.8, 2.5, right? And they do have to find a happy medium, okay? They have to find a happy medium between what's a fair, native surge to get drivers out there to make it profitable for drivers and Uber, right? Because Uber makes the most profit when it's surging, and balancing customer satisfaction, customers not going over to Lyft or other options, and just overall satisfaction, right? In response to Dark Road, Francisco says, probably not until he resigned anyway, as far as if Travis Kalanick would ever disclose this, if it would ever come to light, if Travis Kalanick was still CEO. Francisco says no, and I kind of feel no too, unless this would be leaked. And I feel like there's always people trying to dig for dirt, possibly on Uber. But there wouldn't be any dirt if they didn't, if they would have told authorities, which they didn't. If they would have informed users, which they didn't. And again, if you pay $100,000 to do whatever, call it whatever you want, hiding it, deleting it safely, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't look good on top of everything else. Dark Road, I remember when Uber used to have engineers call Lyft rides just to cancel and tie up drivers in San Francisco. And yeah, they got in trouble for that as well, where Uber would call for Lyfts, tie them up, cancel those rides, and just to bog down the system. They also would request Lyft rides and try to recruit those drivers to drive for Uber, and that competition got pretty heated. as well as some marketing campaigns. One that I remember was Shave the Stash, where Uber had some kind of Lyft looking advertisements saying, hey, forget Lyft, go with Uber. That was back and forth a lot in the Bay Area years ago. I think they kind of were both told to stop it, I would think. Francisco, people use the scheduled trip every time to not get surge, not accepting those cheap people for the bar rush. Yeah, with the scheduled trips, as you know, now in the latest update in November for 180 days of change, Uber's going to let you know if it's a scheduled ride. The thing with scheduled rides is it usually would just send out, well, it would send out your ride request for you at that time, but it was still subject to surge. Okay, if you need a ride at 7 a.m. for the airport, it would just request a ride for you at 7 a.m., but it would still be bound by surge. So I don't know if scheduled rides really saves you from surge, at least to my understanding of it. Of course, there's a lot of changes that are kind of coming down the line now. Hey, Rick, thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Thanks for commenting. Rick says, hey, what's up, Mike? I finally caught a live stream. Can't stay long, but just wanted to say hey and great job for bringing these timely update videos. Thanks, bro. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining. It's nice having you guys. How many people do we have in here, by the way? How many people? Any guesses? We got 11 people bouncing in and out. Nice. And it looks like YouTube's telling me something's not supported, maybe. 12 people. All right, awesome. Yeah, appreciate it, guys. It's nice when we have the back and forth, and when we have subjects like this. It wasn't enough just to have a standard video. I knew that the live chat was going to be quite lively for this. A lot of dialogue back and forth here. Thanks for the updates, guys. Francisco's telling me 12 people. Derek then says 15. Appreciate the updates. Alan says, it's funny, Travis Kalanick looked like he had something on his mind when that video came out of him in an Uber. And it's interesting, the interviews that I've seen of Travis Kalanick and just talking about the company, just even media shots of him, even media shots of him. I really want to like him as a CEO, now former CEO. I really wanted to like him, honestly, as the face of Uber. I mean, I love the tech. I think the system is very interesting, very disruptive system. It needs. I would ideally like to be more profitable for drivers, right? $150 a mile is what we're waiting for. But you can never really go all in for him. I never really felt like I could really go all in to support him, just because things kept coming down the line. It was an awful culture. You have accusations of this and that. You have comments like getting rid of that dude in the car, or getting rid of that dude in the front seat, when he was referring to getting rid of drivers for the autonomous car program. Comments like that. Little slights in the Uber app that just didn't help drivers. And there's little things and massive things that really just didn't warm you up to the company and him as a CEO. Now, with current CEO Dara Khosrowshahi, I'm still pretty neutral. I do like him so far, so I guess we're leaning towards a little bit of the positive side. It seems like he's going to have less fluff, more straight to the point. In his talk to employees, when he had his first talk to his employees, it was very straight to the point. There wasn't a lot of corporate speak, which I don't like. Don't have too much corporate speak. I get it. You can have a little bit of that rah, or generic sounding corporate speak, but I liked him for that. But how he's going to handle these lawsuits, this one's not a lawsuit yet, but how he's going to handle these issues within the company, and how he's going to take care of drivers. Okay. Let's see. Francisco says, his name is not worth the time to try to say. Alan says, LOL. Rick says, I had one of those random selfie IDs happen, but it just coincidentally happened the day after a passenger made a BS report against me. Yeah, I don't know. It could definitely be Uber system that says, hey, if we get a complaint on a driver for someone else driving your car, maybe? I don't know, because if they made a claim that someone else was driving your car, then I can see Uber saying, well, let's make sure he's driving his car and not someone else is driving his car. Then I could see a selfie ID. But yeah, maybe they just sent it just to send it because you got a complaint. I've gotten about 4 in total, and it is random. As far as I'm seeing, it's random. Here is my thoughts on that real quick. I feel like if you're driving at odd times that you typically wouldn't be driving, or maybe even different areas, if you go online from a different area, the Uber app may say, well, hey, our trends have not shown that this driver has ever gone online at this time or this location. We should probably check that it's them driving. And I think that's what it does. And I think that's pretty accurate, because I imagine that's what you would code into an app. You know, if they're going online at an odd time, different location, or if they haven't sent you one in a while, right? If they want to send, 25% of drivers from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. in your market, selfie IDs, you may just happen to fall into that. I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot they code into that. Francisco says, I drive at any hour of the day. And that's what's tricky, guys, because we don't really know. With a selfie ID, we don't really know. That's a good point there of, when they actually send those selfie IDs. Alan says, you're doing a great job with your videos. Keep it up. I appreciate that. We try, guys. There's a whole lot going on with Uber right now. I still have to catch up on part 2 of the 180 Days of Change. That was announced today. Let's jump back in. All right, guys, jumping back in, and we're really just looking for any new info. This one's from The Guardian. And again, this is interesting. Chief Security Officer Joe Sullivan fired for okay, this is kind of accusatory right here. Chief Security Officer Joe Sullivan fired for concealing October 2016 breach. That's why we're reading over these other articles, right? Whenever you read news on Uber, on Lyft, or even in general, we try to cover ourselves as wide as possible so we can get different viewpoints. Maybe a reporter talked to this person when another reporter did not get access to this person. Who knows? We'll take it with a grain of salt. But that says fired for concealing. Let's see what else it says here. We can see the $100,000 data, whatever you want to call it. CNN Money called it a ransom, I believe. They may have just used that because it's more punchy. I don't know. Again, this is big. Failure to notify affected individuals. I mean, you have to do that. Or regulators. You have to do that. Okay, The Guardian is citing Bloomberg as saying Uber Chief Security Officer Joe Sullivan was one of the 2 employees who left the company. And you can see here commentary from Chris Hoofnagel, yes, of the Berkeley Center for Law and Technology. The only way one can have direct liability under security breach notification statutes is to not give notice. Thus, it makes little sense to cover up a breach. Interesting. They go into some laws here if you guys want to check out this article. This one again from the Guardian. And they go into some more detail about it. It looks like some scandals. Okay, so how do you find if your account's been affected? 57, if you're a passenger too, or if you know somebody, send this link to them that I'm going to show you right here. These are drivers, these are passengers. These are millions of drivers in international markets, 600,000 in the US. You want to go to this website. Under the Uber Help, this is the Uber Help forum, I guess we'll call it. And I'll post it here in the live chat for you guys. If you're watching the rebroadcast, I'll post this in the comments section. So this will give some information about the 2016 data security incident. And you can see here, again, they're putting the numbers right here, 600,000 in the United States. Now, I know this is for at least US drivers. If you're in an international market, my apologies if this doesn't work. But I would check this website to be sure. What you're going to do down here is, do you want to check the status of your accounts? Yes, no, and submit. I'm not going to submit right now, just in case there's any personal information that comes up, anything like that. Check the links below in the description, in the comments field. If you're watching this in the live chat, check that link in the live chat. This is how you find out if your data is vulnerable. Now, to what extent, I don't know. We did read that Uber is offering free credit monitoring. I mean, it's always a good idea to always be on top of any kind of cards, credit cards, debit cards, your bank accounts. If there's anything suspicious, of course, report that to your bank. Also, interesting to note where this may lead, again, for lawsuits. If someone's going to bring a lawsuit or some kind of lawsuit against Uber here. So, Francisco says Mike for president. That's funny, guys. Comment about the selfie IDs. Rick says, same here, Francisco. I have the time and alerts enough to drive when I'm out. I keep track of what areas are hot and what times of day or night. Talking about selfie IDs, driving at any time of day. Rideshare 2K, they need to have one of the YouTubers on the board because everyone on there now has never driven. Would you take the job, Mike? Would I take a job? Would I take a job on the Uber board? I feel like I'm underqualified for that. Seeing what kind of caliber employees they bring in the C-suite level of employees, they have some exceptionally bright employees at Uber. But you guys may remember I did submit an application for Lyft. I mean, I can't even, it was so long ago, it was maybe a year ago. I can't even remember the exact position. But, I mean, I can't be on the board, certainly not. But I definitely have interest in both companies, certainly. It all comes down to listening to drivers, right? You can call it whatever you want. Call it the listening to driver position and make us that. Now, they do have the driver advisory board for Lyft, right? That's Lyft, I believe, the driver advisory board, where they will have regional contacts that are drivers that will reach out to other drivers, form a consensus, there we go, form a consensus and bring it back to Lyft, kind of compile those concerns, complaints, what do you like, what do you don't like. Now, I think Uber tries to do a lot of that. They put feedback within the app. They ask you via email. They ask you again in the app plenty of times. They ask for detail within the app. Yeah, anything they can do to listen to drivers. I mean, number one thing, it doesn't have to be me. It can be anyone, is you ask a driver and say, hey, what can we do to help you out? It's pay. It's so easy. It's pay. I mean, again, 65 cents. We always cite Florida, Oklahoma City. I'm sure Detroit is still down there. It has to be at least, 120 was fine in Pittsburgh. That's not exceptional. 150. I think 150 is fine. 180 is more fair and more, profitable. And then $2 would be exceptional. I don't think it's going to hit $2, but 150 is fine for everybody, right? And again, 180 would be great if they really want to be driver-centric. So, Derek Johnson, they have some regular type of people, drivers, on the board too. Alan says, obviously not too bright to remember the data hack, at least one. At least one Derek says, referring to having drivers on the board, some kind of advisory council, right? And I think we're all caught up, guys. So, hey, that link in the live chat, or again on the rebroadcast, we're going to put this in the comments and the description. Please check your account. I'm going to check it right now. And here's the thing, guys, because I want you to be in the know too. If you're not already following on Twitter, @YourDriverMike, follow over there, because we can post some content that I can't post here, pictures, obviously, and a little bit more feedback. So follow over on Twitter if you're not already. And when I check my account, once we're done here, as long as it doesn't have any personal account info, I'll post a screenshot there and show you what it looks like if your account is cleared or not cleared. And I'm really nervous. I'm wondering if it's not cleared. If it's not cleared, well, again, always monitor your bank accounts, et cetera, to make sure no one's been hacked. But I have had a driver already tell me today that he was hacked $1,500. Okay, so there are real implications, even though they're not taking credit cards. Jen Joy, I'm saying that so wrong. I apologize. Thanks for joining. Thanks for commenting. They don't want to be driver-centric. Their business model is to have no drivers. That's really interesting, guys. We just launched that video on the purchase of 24,000 Volvo XC90s for Uber's autonomous car campaign. And eventually, Uber and Lyft have stated that their business model is, yes, to be completely driverless. Now, John Zimmer for Lyft said that their timeline was about 10 years to be completely without a human driver, completely autonomous. That was about 10 years. I haven't seen any mapping for a timeline for Uber. But yeah, of course, Travis Kalanick has been very vocal about, again, getting rid of that other dude in the car and going completely autonomous. Check out that video, though, if you want some more information about that purchase. Valued at $1.4 billion for 24,000 cars. So, I mean, 24,000 is not going to cover the entire United States. It's not going to cover the market. It's not going to satisfy the market. It's not going to provide enough rides. So they still need human drivers. And even to scale that, 24,000 cars cost them $1.4 billion. Just the finances alone, they cannot scale it right now. Unless they're getting some insane venture capital funds in the next coming years, there's no way they can scale those cars, just from cost alone. So cost is going to have to come down. Who knows? And then we have to deal with regulations. We haven't even talked about regulations, laws that need to be passed, approvals, safety measures. So we'll cross that bridge as we get there, as we continue to see more and more developments in those self-driving cars. We'll bring it to you guys as it comes through. Rideshare 2K won't work in the winter in Pittsburgh. That's an interesting thing. Another thing with those Volvos is initially, when they were testing those in Pittsburgh, it was just during the day in nice weather. Now they did kind of evolve to driving at night, driving in cloudy weather, driving in the rain. Snow in Pittsburgh, to drive automatically in snow, how are you going to detect those road conditions? Can you really tell if it's completely ice or snow covered versus just kind of dusted over? I mean, all those kinds of things. And again, driving uphill, downhill in the streets of Pittsburgh in the winter, can a car do that automatically? No, I don't think so right now. So that's a good point. Rideshare 2K says, yes, snow and ice is a no, absolutely. And we've done some videos, guys. You want to look back if you're in a market, as we enter winter, if you're in a market that has snow, check out some of those older videos. We have a few about driving rideshare in the snow. Francisco says, Uber will not be profitable with self-driving cars. Oh well, they'll find out the hard way. And guys, I drove in Pittsburgh, just a few months ago while these self-driving cars were live. I rode in one of those self-driving cars. Again, check out one of the older videos. We document what it was like to ride in one of those. And yeah, just the cost alone, like Francisco mentions, is to scale it. Drivers are the heart of the business. So, I mean, if they raise rates, they can increase their profit line, but we'll see if that happens. Cross my fingers. Derek says, I almost got run over by a self-driver in Pittsburgh. I'm wondering if that was on autonomous mode or if the driver had control of the car. But there's some intersections in Pittsburgh where it's very hazardous. Absolutely. Yeah, we've seen 2 accidents, but none that were the car's fault apparently. All right, guys. Hey, as we wrap it up here, any final questions? So much going on. So much going on as far as this data hack, this covering it up for $100,000 allegedly. The 180 days of change, which did not have rate increases. So hopefully, I'm hopeful that we'll see rate increases. We'll see as we go into 2018, maybe. Jen Joy, Uber tried growing too quickly, in my opinion. And that's kind of interesting, guys. Think about that. Is it the tortoise and the hare? Because Uber is trying to do so much, so fast, spend so much money while they're embroiled in lawsuits and controversies. Meanwhile, Lyft is now securing a third of the market. That's 30%. That looks pretty good. A 30% market share is very good. They just secured a $1 billion investment from Google. They don't really have any cultural problems. They've actually been very inclusive of people of all different identifications, of genders, whatever it may be. Lyft's been very inclusive, and their marketing has communicated that. Of course, we're not on the inside, but Lyft hasn't had any big lawsuits. Nothing that I can think of active right now, I should say. They could be proactive and do what needs to be done and increase the rates as well. They are playing it very safe in being Uber's shadow, kind of, as far as changing their system. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, Uber may be shooting themselves in the foot again, so we'll see where that goes. Francisco says that they obviously have no idea what we must deal with as an operator of a vehicle if they think it can be done by computers. Derek says that link is good to check your data hack. After saying yes, it says, we'll be in touch with you. Okay, we'll see. So Derek just checked his account, and it looks like he was affected. I imagine a good amount of us may be affected. It's a pretty umbrella hack, it seems. It's 600,000 drivers. Of course, there's tons of drivers in the U.S., but I feel like it's going to affect a good amount of us. Hey, let me know. Tweet at me, at your driver Mike. Let me know, and I'll let you guys know over on Twitter. And again, that line that says we'll be in touch. I can imagine they're going to say, hey, here's some free credit monitoring. Here's what we're doing to ensure this doesn't happen again. And that's it. What else can they do? I don't know. Hey, Joel, thanks for joining. What is the future of Uber? I can just talk to the immediate future. Hopefully we see a rate increase, come the turn of the year, 2018. Uber is going to be shelling out a lot of cash, settling lawsuits, or maybe losing lawsuits, appealing those lawsuits. Uber is going to have to continue to listen. They really need to listen to drivers. And the number one thing they can do, again, I've said this before, is raise rates to, let's say, 150. Taper up those rates each month by X amount of cents until they reach 150. 6 months. Do it. 6 months. Taper it up to 150. I would love to see that. And then continuing to attempt to scale the self-driving car program. But again, as they want to go completely humanless, they're going to have to fight regulations, etc. So we'll see what happens on all those fronts. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. I'll continue to talk about that with you guys. But guys, I gotta get going. I wanted just to go over this hack with you guys. 57 million data hack. So Post any other questions in the comments below. We're going to be in the comments section for a little bit here tonight answering your questions. Let me know. Lots to talk about. Lots to talk about. So again, thanks for joining. I really appreciate it. Hey, before you go, I knew you were going to click out of this really quickly. Can you leave a like on the live stream? The button that looks like this, if you don't mind, shows me that you get value in these live streams. If you get value on this channel, gets more eyes in here, and of course, it boosts us in YouTube's almighty algorithm. We need to make it happy. Can you please leave a thumbs up on your way out, guys? And hey, thanks so much. I appreciate it. We'll see you guys next time. And hey, I'll look for you in the comment section, guys. Talk to you later.